Hello, and welcome back to The Sober Connection. Today's episode is a little bit different because I'm joined by someone who has actually been part of my own sobriety journey. My guest stopped drinking around 3 months before I did, and we met in those messy early days of sobriety when we were both trying to figure out what life looked like without alcohol. Back then, we were both pretty active on the online sober community, supporting each other through all the ups, downs, doubts, and discoveries that come with making such a big change. What's interesting is that both of us are now more than 4 years alcohol free, and yet neither of us spends our days talking about sobriety in the way we once did. Life has moved on. We've both grown, changed, and built lives that look very different to the ones we were living back in 2022. So today I wanted to have a conversation about something we don't hear near enough about. What happens after the first year, and what does long-term sobriety actually look like when alcohol is no longer the center of your attention? We're going to talk about what surprised us, what got easier, what stayed challenging, the role community played in our journeys, and how our relationship with alcohol has evolved over the last 4 years. So today I'm stoked to welcome Mike Field to The Sober Connection. Hey Mike, how's it going?
What's up, Abby? Thank you so much for having me. What a
No
treat.
worries. No worries. It's cool to catch up again. It's been a while.
It has been a while and it has been a
Yeah.
journey, hey.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
been like the whole since you asked me to be on the pod, I've just kind of been thinking like far out like 3-4 years ago, I'd have had an awful lot to say about an awful lot of things. And it's not that I don't have things to say now. They're definitely different things, I think.
Mm.
And yeah, it's been. I think I remember having conversations with you back in the day about like looking at the people who are like 3, 4, 5 years in, and thinking like, what that must be a buzzy kind of experience to be that deep in it. Like, what does that feel like compared to where we are now?
Yeah.
And here we are, and I'm
Here
still not
we
really
are.
sure, but we'll see. Maybe we can work it
still,
out.
still making it up one day at a time, but
Yeah.
sometimes definitely. So for people that don't know you, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your drinking story?
Yeah, cool. So, hi, my name's Mike. I was born and raised in the northeast of Scotland and moved to New Zealand in 2012. And you and I met via the Sober Kiwis Facebook group. Was that right? I can't
Yeah, I think
remember how
so. Yeah.
I can't remember how I discovered it or how it turned out, but you were one of the only ones who was also on Instagram, and I was very Facebook averse. I still am, to be honest. Back then, and I was like, okay, no, I'll stick to the gram. But yeah, no, I grew up in the northeast of Scotland. I'm a musician by trade. I was a professional drummer and musician back in Scotland, and I was playing in pubs since quite an early age. So I was exposed to alcohol relatively young, and but so it was always around, and me and my mates drank as teenagers as well, and towards the second end of high school, and then I had a couple of failed attempts at uni, and then I had one attempt that actually stuck when I did music. Um, then I remember, I think there's like a couple of traumatic events where I sort of, I suppose, learned to drink as a response to that.
Yeah.
And that was like quite relative, like thinking that I felt quite grown up at the time, but it was quite early on compared to where I am now. I was like, let me think, 23, 24. I was approaching the end of uni, and there was the end of a 5-year relationship, and that was the first time I remember really hitting it hard because it was easier than dealing with it.
Yeah.
And then a long time after that, then I kind of stayed in that spot for a while, and then I lost a mate to suicide in 2016, and I did a very similar thing back then as well. But then, like, so there was two traumas where I really responded to it by drinking. But then, along with that, there was the undertone of growing up in the 90s and
Yeah.
just what alcohol was to us then.
Yeah.
And, like, looking back again now, just like crushing self-esteem issues where I was just like, I can't possibly talk to a girl or hang out with the boys without having a beer, without getting half cut and getting Dutch courage and all that kind of stuff. So that was like, yeah, it sort of began as a way of dealing with my own insecurities, and then became just over the years, as it does, the roots bedded in, and it became just like an automatic response, just like, bad time, get wasted,
Yeah.
good time, get wasted. A day that ends in Y, I'm getting wasted. I'm having it. And I talked to you about back in the day, and I've talked to a lot of people when I was making content a few years back about my trigger was like the first sip of the first beer. It was on as soon as it was on. I had no off switch once the on switch had been pressed. There was no way back.
Yeah.
That day was done. That evening was done. And that's kind of
what time of the day you started.
Yeah, that's it. Like if it was lunchtime beers on the weekend, then it was just like that was it. That was what we were doing. That's what was happening. And it just started to become, just became really ingrained in who I was and what I was about and what my routines were based around. So that's kind of a broad shot of that. And I was lucky in a sense. No, not even in a sense. I was lucky that I didn't have a catastrophic, rock bottom moment. Like literally, I had a lot of kind of micro idiot moments, but then I sort of, and I think I spoke to you about this as well. I had I eventually I would have like talks to myself sometimes, wasted in a mirror, just being like, I would literally be there, like, just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What is this? What are you doing? I didn't have an answer. But I was able at some point, and there's a movie I want to say it was The Fighter or something like that. That something in that made me reflect on what was happening and what the inevitable end of my journey was if I didn't change what I was doing.
Yeah, right.
And because I could see it. Like there was only one way I was going, because I was drinking more. It was getting worse. It was affecting my health. It was affecting my relationship. It was affecting my ability to be a good parent. It was affecting my business. I was dragging everything down with me in a vortex of piss, so
vortex of piss sounds like a band name.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm pretty sure it's The Fighter. Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale. And I think their dad was an alcoholic in the story.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I have heard you talk about this before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it broke me. And it was like, that was the turning point. That and Denzel Washington flying a plane in a movie. I'm doing live research of my own bullshit here. Denzel Washington plane movie. He's Flight. Okay, so, oh my God, Fight and Flight. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Those are my trigger movies.
Oh my goodness.
So Flight.
The nervous system overload. Yeah,
I know. Hey, so Flight. Yeah, this incredible Denzel Washington movie about an alcoholic pilot.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil it for anyone. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
No, I don't believe so.
But if you have had a journey with alcohol, there is one moment in one scene in a hotel room, which you will, I know, because we know each other, Abby. You know what I mean? In this crew, we know each other. There's a scene in that movie that I know you will relate to so heavily, it will get you. It will get you right in the chest.
All right, I'm gonna put that on my watch list.
That and the Fighter were two movies that really made me reflect and go, oh my God, what am I doing? And spun me around and made me go, nah, I need to get off of this train before it's too late. Yeah. So, yeah, in a broad sense, that's kind of what happened. And yeah, I did a dry January because I'd done a bunch of dry months in the years leading up to when I quit. And every single time I would get back on it harder. As soon as that month ended, it was like, yo, let's go. See, I'm good. I'm good. I've got this all under control. Let's
Yeah.
get back on it, boys. I did my
White
month.
knuckle our way through the month and then just get
Exactly.
smashed on the first. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was landing harder and harder. So I actually, when I did it, I did two things. People who've heard me talk before have heard these stories before, so I like, I don't know, I feel self-conscious, but the first thing I did is I set myself a target about 3 months out, because I worked this out in about October or November. I was just like, I now have data. I like data. I now have data, right? I've done 7 individual months where I've quit drinking, and then 7 different times I've gone back on it really hard. So what have I learned in that time? I'm quite good at not drinking. I'm also quite good at drinking. What
Yeah.
I'm really bad at is just drinking a little bit. So, pretty easy. If I don't like where I'm going with the drinking, and I can't do the drinking a little bit, but actually life's not too bad when I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
I think not drinking is the way I've got to do it. But at the time, I didn't want to make much noise about it, so I kind of just lined it up like I was going to do a dry January again. And I mentally prepared for this to be my last period as a drinker, right?
Yeah.
I lined it up in my head. I prepared mentally for it in the same way as I prepared mentally for like a long haul flight with my kids when they were really small. I would do like, I realized that the secret to that was, it's just like planning for the worst and hoping for the best, like understanding that for those 24 hours on the flight, it's going to be just awful. You're not going to get enough sleep. Nothing's going to be about you. It's all about looking after this little person and trying not to get too worried about other people, you know?
Yeah.
So in a sense, doing that mental prep, I used to do that for weeks before a flight. Like, this is going to be shit. This is going to be shit. And then when you're in that space, that only, like, you've already prepped for the worst, so any other result is actually amazing.
It's better. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else is only an improvement. So I did that, and it led up to end of 2021, led up to New Year's Eve, and I just had a fairly chill New Year's Eve. I was kind of third wheeling with some mates of mine actually, which was really nice. They had some nice champagne, some nice whiskey, some other party additives that we don't need to go into. And I was like, this is it. I'm just going to have, and it was actually quite chill. Like, I didn't go nuts. It was like me, it was almost like the end of a relationship, right? But like a really amicable one where we'd both agreed, you know what? Let's go out, have a nice time, and then we'll just walk away.
Yeah.
And we'll never speak, and we'll never see each other again. That was kind of how I did it with alcohol on New Year's Eve 2021. We're just like, well, see you later, I guess. That was cool. We've had our time. We've had plenty of time.
Yeah.
And now I'm off. I'll see you later. So yeah, that's I gave myself a run up, and then I also treated it like a dry January. That's what I told people I was doing, because people do ask. They go, "You're not having a beer," when they're used to you getting on it all the time. And then I just got to the end of dry January, and I knew I wasn't finished. Everyone else thought I was finished, but I just quietly just kept going.
Yeah.
And then just kept adding the days and adding the days. And that was kind of how that was the strategy. And that seems to have worked.
Yeah.
So I'm still here.
Yeah. 4.5 years later, you're still here.
4.5 years later.
That is crazy, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I could transport you back to your first 30 days, alcohol free, what would you say that version of you was most worried about?
Probably just the long term.
Yeah.
Because when it's part of your identity, in the way that it was for me, that was the biggest part. Was just like, well, who am I? And what a pathetic thing, you know what I mean? To be like, well, who am I if I can't have a drink? You know, who am I if I'm not getting on the beers at the barbecue or at the house party or at the pub or whatever like that? Who am I? And really sitting with that was a challenge. And what I didn't know, what you don't know at that point, is that you are in there. The core of you is there. The drunk version of you is like it's just another, it's not really you. It's not really what you are at your core. You know what I mean? Like, it can take you in strange directions and strange places, and can give you a sense of false confidence and bravado and all this kind of stuff that isn't actually you. And you have to learn to know where your, not limits are, but you have to kind of learn to go back to the relationship metaphor. You kind of have to learn to know who you are first before you can be with someone else, right? And similarly, I think getting rid of alcohol, I really did have to look inside and be really introspective and go, well, far out, like, who am I and what am I, and what am I now in these situations where I would naturally drink? What am I now when those situations happen? And I still haven't worked that out at house parties. I still find it quite challenging. Like, it is tough.
Yeah.
Because of what just because I'm not used to it. But you've got to just try them, and what comes with that, and you'll have experienced this, I'm sure, as well, and lots of your people listening will have experienced this as well, is once you learn to understand yourself, then you can learn to be, like, kinder to yourself, and what that can look like is just fucking leaving. If you're not comfortable somewhere, just go. You don't have to drink through it. Just go. So I'm on the school board, and we had a couple of members leaving the other day, and they went out for drinks, right? So I went down and saw them, had a couple of zeros. And then after I'd had a couple of zeros, they were obviously getting a couple of wines deep, and they started getting into the yarns and everything. And I was just like, I'm going to go. Like, I wasn't a dick about it or anything. I was just like, all right, I've got to get moving. And I wasn't contributing much to the conversation anyway, so I don't think I was, necessarily missed that bad. But in just a micro way of demonstrating that, like, kindness, you can just leave. If you need permission to leave, I'm giving you permission to leave right now. Just go. If you don't want to be there, just don't go. Like, try and turn up. I had another one recently, like a good friend of mine. The people I was with on New Year 2021, they had a combined 40th, 50th. Awesome party. People were having a great time. We're having a really good time being there. I think, apart from the kids, I was the only sober one, and they were, like, ready to party. Like, the barbecue had been on all day. There was a big old feed coming out and all this kind of stuff. And we were gonna come back and drop the kids off, and we had grandparents over then, so they were gonna babysit. But I came back, and my wife, she'd had a couple of drinks there, and was like, because she was quite nervous because there was lots of other people there that we didn't know, and all this kind of stuff. So she was kind of Dutch couraging it a little bit, and I spoke to her, and I was just like, "Are you good? Because you don't seem all that good." And she was like, "No, I mean, she wasn't wasted. I don't mean because she was drinking or anything like that. I just meant I could tell in herself that she wasn't good." And she was like, "I don't know if I've got the energy for it, hey." And I was like, "Honestly, my social battery is cooked, and I love those guys dearly, but they will understand if it's too, because it was a bit much for us, you know what I mean? Because it just was." And I said, "It's okay. We don't have to go back. Like, we've been there for a few hours. We've had a feed. We've said happy birthday. We gave them presents. We've done what we needed to do. We can just bail."
Yeah.
She was like, "Can we?"
Like, permission.
"Oh, can we? That's a good idea."
Yeah.
So we just did. And then we spoke to them the next day, and it was just like, "How did the party go?" And they were just like, they knew, because they know as well. When they, you're surprised what other people know. You're surprised how perceptive other people are about their own levels. Maybe if you're not about yours, other people understand that stuff as well.
Yeah.
So no, I think, going back to your question, if we could speak to first 30 days, Mike, it's just kind of like, it's fine, because you can set the rules around what fine is. You can go. That's my advice. You can leave.
Yeah.
Leaving is always an option.
It does make you, once you get boundaries and stuff and realize that you are allowed to leave places, it makes you realize how many times you would have stayed somewhere just because you felt that you couldn't leave,
100%. How many house parties have we drank through just to stay, because you're like, well, I'm at a party now.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do?
To chatting shit in a kitchen at 5 o'clock in the morning.
How many kitchens have been polluted with our shit chat? It didn't need to happen. Leave kitchens alone,
Yeah. What assumptions did you have that turned out to be completely wrong?
Um, you know what? I assumed that I would. I assumed that I wouldn't need zero beers
Yeah.
for as long as I've leaned on them. They're
Yeah.
just like, I just have them in the fridge now. I don't drink nearly as many near beers as I did regular beers, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But like, I leaned pretty heavily into the into Heineken Zero. Shout out when I was when I was getting first
Back in the
into it.
day, that's pretty much all there was.
That was pretty much it in New Zealand. Yeah, that was about all we had. So yeah, I leaned pretty hard on them at the start, and they really did. They were the thing that helped me through a lot because I was such a habitual daily drinker.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anything else. It was what it's like, it sounds so stupid. It's literally how I got most of my hydration was drinking beers in the evening, and there's the strong ones too. Oof. But I didn't know how. Yeah, I've got one right here. Like and they're so good now. They're so good. We finally got Guinness Zero in New Zealand now, which is a game changer.
Yeah.
And
I actually really like Corona Zeros.
yeah, it's just got here too, eh?
Yeah, they're good. I've been having a few of those lately, but yeah, a good drop.
But yeah, so I didn't know how long I'd lean into them, and also it's fine to lean into them. Like it's totally fine if that's how you do it. If that's how you get it done, get it done. Like and also, what was the question again? Was
just what assumptions you had that turned out to be not true.
Oh well, I thought I'd be bored.
Yeah.
But what I found was like I was getting so much better sleep.
Yeah.
Like I still don't get enough, but that's fine. That's whatever. Like I still
that's
stay
your own
up
fault because you're playing Halo until 2:00 in the morning, right?
Listen, it's been a great couple of years for AAA games. Okay, there's been a lot of good content coming out. No, I do. I like prioritize kind of time. I really recharge like on my own.
Yeah.
So I play video games. I usually with friends, and then I play a lot of board games as well. So I make time for that kind of stuff still, but I love getting up early in the morning. So, but the 6 hours that I'm getting now, they're a really good 6 hours. Like I go to bed and I just go, oosh, like let's go off to sleep. I was worried. I tell you what, it was an assumption. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to sleep because I'd basically been knocking myself out for 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So that was scary, to be honest, just tackling that. But it turned out not to be that hard. Like I managed to find a way, which was I don't know, how did I do it? I just kind of, so I listened to a lot of podcasts. So I found some really irreverent podcasts that I could listen to that were really calming, and I would just chuck headphones in and just kind of lie there. And there was a couple of sketchy nights where I was just like, it got to like 12:30, 1:00 in the morning, and I'm like, am I going to sleep tonight? When you get that panic, like, oh God, now there's only this many hours till my alarm, and you get that stuff. So, and I used melatonin, that was pretty good as well, like just low dose melatonin.
Yeah.
And then realized, just sort of didn't take it a couple of times and was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm doing all right here, actually. I'm okay.
Without anything. Yeah.
So, assumptions were life would be boring, and that I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah.
But there are ways through that, and you can manage that stuff a lot better when you are not messing with your brain. Like when you are not completely wrecking your brain by pumping it full of whatever you need every single day. It functions quite a lot differently, hey?
Yeah, it's surprising how the brain actually works.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are all quite me specific, but those were the ones that I think kind of worried me.
I think they're quite general assumptions too, that but or your anxiety, like, but it helps my anxiety. I've got a friend who drinks daily, and she swears that it helps with her anxiety, and I just shake my head. I don't say anything because there's no point. But it's
I think if you think back to how how we used to drink, I think in the short term, and I mean like a 24-hour window, it probably does, doesn't it? Because that's how I dealt with social anxiety. Like I
Yeah,
literally drank and then the anxiety went away and I went, "Oh, okay, cool. Here we go. I'll go and chat shit to someone." But what
yeah.
value did that bring me? What value did it really bring? It certainly brought no value to the people I was chatting shit to. Um, and
Well, oh my God.
did it ever, it never taught me how to actually deal with my anxiety and to sit in
Yeah,
it and to sit in the discomfort and actually learn how to deal with it. Because I wasn't dealing with my anxiety by drinking it and making it going away.
yeah,
Wow, great sentence. By drinking and making it go away. I was
yeah,
just, it was just like hair of the dog with a hangover. You're just passing it off to
yeah.
deal, to
And
be
especially if
dealt
you're
with
drinking
later.
daily as well, then the anxiety, and I talked about this in my last episode, was, that you're never actually giving your brain a chance to recover because you're drinking daily. So that anxiety is just at this baseline
Mm.
is so much more
Well,
elevated than it should be.
yeah, I would much rather, now that I'm looking at it from a perspective I'm looking at it, I'd rather deal with my anxiety in the moment than ever deal with hangover beer fear again.
Yeah,
Like that anxiety, I never want that again.
yeah,
I would much rather just be in the moment with it and go, "Ooh, what's going on here? Okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to deal with this?" And you learn, depending on how your brain works, you learn on ways of coping with it. And like I say, Irish exit, always an option.
yeah, yeah. Was there anything that you expected to miss that you actually don't miss at all?
I thought I would miss the pub more.
Yeah,
I really did. But again, I reflected on it a lot and I started to consider like drinking buddies that I've had sort of at different periods throughout my life who I have zero contact with anymore. I couldn't tell you if they're dead or alive. Like
yeah,
these are not your like drinking buddies. They're not friends. You know what I mean? They're like when you're just on the piss yapping, which can be fun. Like, I'm not saying it's all terrible. I'm not trying to sound like an absolute evangelist or anything like that. But I really did like, and maybe I'm cold for doing this, but I did kind of look at those experiences and go, well, what was the value? What was the point of that? How did that improve anything for anyone involved, really,
mm,
when I look back at it?
yeah,
Um, and and it's tricky, that one, because like I met my wife that way, right? And it's a funny one. Like I met her when I was playing wingman for my mate, and I was that night. I just had a beer or two, and and was looking out for him while he was having a hard time. It was a long story, but anyway, he was having his girlfriend was about to move overseas. But I was ended up standing talking to her mate who I'd met. She'd first seen me at a gig that I played a week before, and I thought she had a boyfriend. So I was making like no effort to like try and make a move or anything like that. But because I wasn't, what do you know?
she's like, whoa,
Made an impression. This guy's great. He's just talking to me like a human being.
like
Whoa,
a normal
weird.
person.
But yeah, so to say that I've never had a valuable conversation in the pub is not true. But I do look back at my time recently. So that was 20 years ago, 17, 18 years ago. But I look at like the last 10 years, since I've been an adult and since I've not been like in that sort of student zone, going, what is this for now? You know what I
Mm,
mean? I'm not out
mm,
there making friends.
yeah,
Not in my 30s, which I was at
yeah,
the time. I'm not anymore. But like, yeah, does that make sense? Or is that too, I'm not
yeah.
sure if that's too dour and grim or depressing
No,
or
no, no,
whatever.
no.
But
You do. I mean, I don't hang out in pubs very much at all. But I went to. I actually went to see Shapeshifter. They played in New Plymouth last Saturday, and then
nice.
afterwards we went for some drinks with the people that we were with, and then ended up at the local Irish bar as like everybody else. And yeah, I haven't been into a pub situation for such a long time. I there's just the majority of people were, they probably been there for the last sort of 20, 30 years, and there was just like tables of blokes just sitting around not even talking to each other, you know. And I was like,
Yeah, right.
why are you here? I don't get it. I mean, the pub culture over here is very, very different to over in the UK. Like,
Yeah.
it's not the same, you know, but yeah, it's just not the place that I want to hang out. It just doesn't
No,
appeal to
like
me at
I've
all.
learned to, I can totally go. But like I say,
Yeah,
like people will get, there's a certain level of drunkenness that people will get to, and I'm just like, nah. Because
yeah,
you have to be there with them, otherwise it's just
yeah,
awful to be around. Like I used to work in pubs, and it was just, man, drunk people were the worst,
yeah,
and they still are, as it turns
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah,
So like, yeah, I can go and I'll sit and nurse a zero or two, and then I'll just boost, and nobody
yeah.
notices.
No,
You're not the life and soul of the party.
no, exactly.
You're
No,
not the
especially not
center.
because you don't drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No
no
one
one
gives a
wants you there
fuck. Just get
anyway.
out. Yeah, exactly. Just get out of there.
Yeah,
It is easier to nurse a zero than a cup of tea or something, though. I will say that. Like
yeah,
it's a very good shield to hide behind,
yeah, 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 yeah.
which is
Um,
cool.
so we're both more than 4 years sober now, so 4.5 for you. How would you describe your relationship with alcohol today?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm not as scared of it anymore. It was a fear in the first 6 months, the first 90 days, the first 6 months. It was like oh shit. I made I used to make quite a lot of content around my sober journey on Instagram, and I did a podcast for a while, and I was quite sort of content brained about it. And yeah, I'd made some memes about like, so my brand of choice, right? My poison of choice was Kingfisher Extra Strong. Okay, this one tramp lager. I mean, it was like a quality, a premium tramp lager, but a tramp lager nonetheless.
Went really well with curries.
Yeah, and Oblivion, as it turns out. Yeah. So every time I was been like bumping into your ex in the supermarket, POV. I was just like seeing it on the shelf and just being like, oh, don't look. Oh no, there she is. There she is. Uh-oh. Um, I think, yeah, it was definitely fear of falling off
Mm,
for that first. You are really white knuckles, like you said, for that first wee while. And I think how long that lasts depends on you individually, depends on
yeah,
what's happened to you in your relationship with alcohol before then. I think I'd say at least the first year it was fear for
mm,
me, because I
yeah,
knew I didn't want to go back, and because I planted my flag so publicly as well. I was recovering out loud, as they say.
yeah, yeah,
I was in the pink haze, they call it as well. When you're when you're
yeah,
just vibing on it so hard. Um, it was definitely fear to begin with. Once I crossed into the second year, it was a bit more like, oh, this is just my life now. And I
yeah,
remember and people would talk to me after that first year as well, because the year is like a big thing as well. People expect you just to kind of go back to it. Well, you're cured now, right? So you can just have a drink again. Is kind
yeah,
of an attitude some people have, not maliciously or intentionally necessarily, and a lot of the conversations were around like, so is that you? Is that you now? Or is that, you're not going to be off it forever, are you? Like, people couldn't conceive of that.
mm,
I think took a while to conceive of that as well, to be so sure
yeah,
that actually, no, this is me pretty much, like, I think this is me. It's possible maybe when I'm an old man I
yeah,
might have a whiskey or something, but that's so far away. And
yeah,
like, when I know I'm done, you know what I mean? That's how old I'm talking about. When I'm like, oh, okay, so I've got this long left, have I? Well, might
might as
start
well have a wee
smoking.
dram.
might have a wee dram and 20 fags. Let's go.
Yeah,
When I have literally nothing left to lose.
yeah,
But then I don't. It's not like. But I'm absolutely not telling myself that that's what I'm going to do. That is a potential scenario. But for now, it's certainly, as long as my kids are reliant on me, nah, absolutely not. And then
yeah,
it'll be so normal after that as well, that how could I go back now?
yeah,
My wife said something when I was like in the very early days and I was having a wobble or whatever. She said something that I will never ever forget, because it was fucking devastating. She said, something along the lines of, I like you much better when you don't drink. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that hurts quite a lot, doesn't it?
Mm.
Ooh, ow, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I was turning up and my wife didn't like me.
Yeah.
That's not a good feeling. So, that sentence will probably keep me off it for good. Like, I don't want to go back. I don't want,
What you for the rest of your days.
yeah, that'll haunt me. No, for sure. So yeah, now it's just like, it's much more comfortable now. I don't know if you feel that as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's just normal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I
just,
mean, I know we were saying just before we started recording, I've chosen this path to, do the podcast and do the coaching and do the content where I'm constantly, although I'm sort of veering away from, I'm more talking about the transformation that happens and the possibilities after, with
yeah,
sobriety just being a kind of a door to all of these possibilities, but so I'm not talking about it as much, but it's still an underlying factor. And whereas for you, you were doing the podcast and we were doing the lives and stuff. That first year, I feel like we all kind of like clung together quite, we sort of needed each other quite a bit that first year, and then
100%.
everybody else sort of drifted off, and there's still a few posts every now and then, but it's not so much, it's just not as intense in our lives as it was, because we did have to sort of take one day at a time, and that fear that, well, I can't go back to day one. I'd had thousands of day ones. There was no way once I got to a certain point that I ever wanted to go back to day one again. And so you're right, it was a fear of like, if I slip up, I'm back to day one again. And yeah, it just wasn't worth it for me.
No, yeah, it was interesting. You kind of, it's almost like coming through high school or something. We came through with like our cohort, right? We had our year. We were like year of 2022.
Yeah.
Have we graduated? Does that mean we graduated? But
I don't know.
Because there are still like some. If I think of the people from that time, maybe it's time for some shout outs. Hey, like there was so like because we really did. We needed each other. That was, as much as I leaned on like near beers, I cannot remember how I found it, but I started to find sort of sober content online, and I watched a conversation when I was in my first few weeks between Jade, Scottish and sober, and Carmela. Oh shoot, what's her handle?
Not Woman on a Sober Mission.
Yeah, Woman on a Sober Mission. Yeah, that's Carmela, isn't it? So
I think so.
I heard them having a conversation on a live, and it was pretty mind-blowing, because I'd never heard two people talking about the thing that I was having such a existential crisis about, and they were just chatting about it because they were both doing it, and I was like, this is what I need. This is what I need right here. I need this. Oh my God, more of this into my veins right now. That's what I need. And like, that's when I discovered the whole idea of like recovering out loud and one day at a time, and just all these kind of cliches to an extent, but like they really are the rules. Cliches are cliches for a reason. So yeah, and through them I found you eventually. I found Strong Voice Chris over in Canada.
Yes, yeah.
Then the Michaels, Michael Sargood and
three Mikes. It was you and Michael Singh,
Singy,
and Michael Hoochie as well.
Yeah, and I was Hoochie, yeah, of course. And I'm still following all those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna forget someone and make them annoyed now. But that they were big in our cohort as well. There was Sober Yoga Dad as well. I remember him, Matt, and there's Jen as well. And a whole
Walking the Straight Line as well. Kate Taylor.
Yeah, Kate.
Well. Yeah.
And we're all still in there. We're all still hanging in there. But I feel like
still sober as well, which is really cool. It is actually really cool. Yeah.
And that cohort, like recovering together and being able to talk shit with each other, was so important, wasn't it? Like, that was, without that, I don't know, like without that was the difference, eh? And I've said this on in conversations before as well. Like what was the another thing that was different between the months off that I did, the individual months, and this 4.5 years. The difference was that I had people around me who were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Apes
Yeah.
together strong,
Yeah.
there was that was a big difference, and that's I do probably consider that to be one of the reasons why this one succeeded and this one stuck.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah, no,
agree with that as well?
I definitely do because I didn't have any real life support,
Mm.
and so I really leaned heavily on the online sober community, and just doing we used to do lives together, and then I remember Hoochie used to do the quiz. He used to do a
That's
quiz, and
right.
everybody used to go on that. And then I think I won a Valentine's Day poem from Michael Singh, and so he presented that to me on Valentine's Day. And I just left my marriage, so that was really. That was really good timing. And then, I think when I turned a year sober in the March 2023, we did a live, and it was you and the other two mics, and you all wore stupid hats, and yeah, I don't know if you
I
can
don't
remember that.
I don't even
You all
remember
wore,
that. No.
yeah, you all wore stupid hats, and I don't know why, but that was a thing. But yeah, I was just so supportive, and but just funny as well. It wasn't like it wasn't doom and gloom, like, oh, you're gonna, this is sobriety is gonna be really boring and terrible. It was actually like, this is funny, these are funny people, and yeah, I mean, I just got lifted up so much, especially once I'd left my marriage. It was, and then I sort of dropped off the radar a bit for a while, and dealt with that. But it was good, funny conversations, that just, yeah, filled my heart.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was so good, and like, yeah, people do kind of drop in and out, because life, that's the thing, right? Like, it doesn't matter how many days sober you are, life still happens in the background.
Mm.
Like, I've got my kids are 8 and 11 now, so it's a lot different to what it was in 22.
Yeah,
um Work is different now than it was. I'm not gainfully self-employed as much as I was back then.
yeah,
I've because I was pretty. I'm like a 1950s doctor's wife. Okay, so my wife is a doctor, and I was the homemaker basically because I could be, because I could contract and I
Jesse
could
Crocker.
I could work from home and work a
Yeah,
spatula, and all that kind of stuff. So I was doing that stuff, and I was always available for the kids and everything because of that. So that's where I was when I was doing it, when I was doing the work in 22, and it's less like that now. I also burned myself out completely on content as well. I went way too hard, with a plan that has it was a decent content plan, but had absolutely no longevity or monetization possibilities or anything like that. So it was just a drain on my time, really, that I didn't have very much of.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what happened to me. But it was great fun just being able to have those conversations, to put those people together and make that
yeah,
production and everything. So yeah, that's us. That's the class of 22. Hey, that's all sort of
yeah,
spread. And because no, because I mentioned I hear you going back to you mentioning Corona Zero. I saw that in Countdown the other day, and I was like, first it made me think of Jade, Scottish and Sober, because she was all about that. That was her favorite zero. I think still
oh,
is
really?
probably. Yeah. And then I sort of went, wait a minute. I haven't seen anything from her in ages. And I stood in Countdown and looked up on Instagram, and I saw her last post was from January. And I was like, oh, that's unusual. Okay, I reached out and sent her a message. And then it sat unread for a couple of days. And I was like, oh, fuck. This is really unusual. I hope she's all good. And then I messaged Carmela, Woman on a Sober Mission, because I always put those two together because of that first live I saw, right?
Yeah,
And I messaged her, and she said, "Oh no, I haven't, but I know she just had another baby. I'm pretty sure, so she's probably pretty busy." I was like, "Oh no, she probably is. She probably is." But I was still kind of like, "Ooh, I hope she's all good." And then,
yeah,
as it transpired, she messaged me, "Everything's fine. She's just got a
yeah,
house full of babies." And she was like, "Yeah, I've just had to step back for a bit because life is too gnarly." And I was like, "That
yeah,
makes total sense. But
Yeah.
it was really nice, I suppose, um to still have that connection and be like, oh, hold on, I'm going to look this person up. What's going on? Because for an awful moment, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what if she's gone off the wagon? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that I
Yeah.
think she would,
Yeah.
but I think there was for a second. I just got really sort of protective, just like, wait, no, fuck,
Yeah.
I need to make sure everything's good.
Yeah, well, I had that. I had that at the start of the year. I lost all of my social media, so my page that I've got now is a new page.
Oh, you
I
did
lost
say that,
everything.
yeah.
I lost my personal stuff and my podcast. I had an individual podcast page and my content, and yeah, just all got completely wiped. And I just recorded a podcast with Jimmy Thistle,
Okay.
and he was meant to be. I think I'd it scheduled it, and then he tried to send me a message, and I'd completely disappeared off the grid. And he messaged me, and I had a few people message me going, "Are you okay? Like, shit, we thought you'd relapsed, you know." But I, like, you
Yeah,
know,
well,
because I
that's
just thought that I completely wiped my accounts. But I was like, no, they've just been wiped out of my control.
oh wow,
So
yeah, I know. Hey,
yeah,
it's interesting that we've got an extra layer of like,
it's cool. It's cool though that people are, you know, checking in on you, you know, and it's like, "Are you all good?" Yeah, no, I'm all good. Like,
yeah,
sweet,
yeah,
you know, as you were, sort of thing. But
yeah. Carry
yeah.
on.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so important not to try and do this whole thing alone? You know, like
Oh,
why do you
but
think community is so important?
because it's isolating enough
Yeah.
in a society like certainly the ones we grew up in and the ones we now live in. It's so what's the word? It's so ingrained in culture to have a drink here and there, and that's how you do it. You know, you go out for drinks when somebody leaves a school board, or you go out for drinks when I don't know what else happens. There's a sports on, so you got to have a drink because the sports on, and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's already so isolating that to have yourself socially isolated on a level as well is really difficult. So you need to bring people in who are on your side to make
Yeah.
up for that isolation, I think, and just to be able to talk to and relate to about it, because you can't talk to someone like I love all my mates who have a beer every now and then. I don't care. Like I don't care, but
Yeah.
they also don't have to care that I don't. Like they don't have
Yeah.
to. They can support me. Like if they know they're not gonna they're not if I do someone a favor, they're not gonna buy me a box of beers, right? That which is like kind of a universal currency here in New Zealand. They know
Yeah.
not to do that for me now,
Yeah.
and even like I got for being the rugby coach last year for my kids team, like they bought me a box of zeros. You know what I mean? Like so
Oh,
people are
that's
just like
cool.
they understand, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hold it against them. They don't hold it against me. But you still can't talk to those people. It doesn't matter how good mates they are. I can't even talk to my wife about not drinking because she
Mm.
doesn't do that. She can't relate
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
It's like she's not. It's like similarly if she's if she's got a hangover, she knows that she's not going to get any sympathy from me about it. You know what I mean? Equally. So you need
Old
to.
mate just sitting there all smug.
Oh yeah, mate, you've got to. That's another thing you've got to do. You have got to dial back the smug when someone's absolutely hanging. Like you can't. You've got to know because they already know. They're already like you. Don't not say a word. All right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
say
No,
nothing. I'm
there's
just existing. But you need people to talk to and relate to about it to be able to just like, oh my god, it's everywhere. Have
yeah.
all those rants that you need to have with a
Yeah.
sympathetic ear.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also I think, it's just those people that can take those unicorns, and there's a few, there's a lot of them around that can take it or leave it, and they don't completely destroy their lives by cracking open a beer. Do you know what I mean? Like unlike us.
Yeah,
But you can't really talk to them about if you're feeling like you've got a bit of an issue, because their response generally is just, well, just don't drink then, and it's
yeah.
like,
It's not very helpful.
it's not, but I can't just not drink. Like I actually have a problem, and so then it's, yeah, trying to find people who have been there and done it and there's zero judgment. I think that's a huge, the judgment thing is huge. I think, just,
Yeah.
feeling like you can talk to somebody and they just go like, oh, don't worry about it, man. Like I did that. I've done that, been there, done that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more accepting. So yeah,
Um, yeah, it is. Attitudes are interesting. So I remember early in when I was visiting, I went back and visited my parents in Scotland. And we had the chance to go and meet Jade, Scottish and sober. So we met up and went for a coffee. And I was trying to explain to my mum, so I'm going out to meet this person who I know is a friend of mine on Instagram about, she's sober stuff as well. And my mum, bless her, rest in peace. But she she goes, "Oh, does she have a problem as well?" And I was like, "Mum, can you not? Like, it's not. I mean, annoyingly, yeah, kinda. But can you not? Like, don't be a dick about it. Can you?
We don't call it that in our circle.
Yeah, we don't. Come on now." That was it. I tell you what, actually, going back to one of your early questions, like what things that I didn't know there was something along the lines of, what do I know now that I didn't know back then? I didn't know back then that I was going to be able to cope with big stuff without drinking. So like, my mum passed away in 22. My grandfather passed away like when I was 3 months into not drinking or something like that. My old music mentor, my old piano teacher, who I used to teach drums at his music school, he passed away as well during this time that I've been sober, and it wasn't easy. I could feel it at times, being like, oh, this would be a very easy opportunity, Yeah. I'm back in Scotland with my dad and my brother, my dad's whiskey collection.
Yeah.
And him and my brother are, getting into it. It would be pretty easy, but like being able to push through that, those were the big challenges, Yeah. I had real challenges with my business in 2022 as well, like post-COVID financial stuff.
Yeah.
And again, those were the times that would have just sent me. And being in those times and sitting with that feeling and sitting with the cravings and all that kind of stuff, I would never have thought in the first 30 days that I could do that.
Yeah.
Like that was huge.
Yeah. Well, same for me. That whole second year, or like from, well, I stopped drinking in 2022, but 2023 I left my marriage, and everything that happened in that year, 15 months, was just, the leaving the marriage bit was the easy bit, like, because everything that happened after that was just so full on and just absolutely heartbreaking. And I moved towns and didn't know anybody, and I had the choice. I could have gone back to drinking, or I could have, nobody knew me, so they didn't know my story, they didn't know my backstory, and it was like, no, actually I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm just so proud that I managed to stay sober through all of that.
It was huge. We kind of wrote that with you, you know what I mean? We were all watching, and that's it. That was the cohort was working there again, and I think we spoke a couple of times in that period as well, just like some DMs or something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And just those are the times where you needed people to understand things on a slightly different level to what everyone else could understand it on. We're not better than anyone because we could understand it. I'm just saying we have a shared experience that we can relate to each other about, and that's kind of that will probably connect us for a long, long time, I think in our little crew.
Yeah, we need to bring the lives back, I think.
It's been a minute, hey.
It has.
I wonder,
so funny.
can we dig Sargood out of retirement?
Yeah, exactly. How do you think that, obviously you just mentioned like getting through challenging times and stuff. How do you think being sober has actually helped you navigate those challenges differently?
Oh, at risk of repeating myself, it's just kind of, I've learned to sit in those moments and go, how am I feeling right now? Rather than going, feelings? No, thank you. Let's get rid of those. Yeah. Let's have a few drinks and make those go away. Yeah. just being able to sit and feel things, and you can get to good places in your head by just allowing feelings to happen to you. You know, you can let them wash over you, and you can experience them, and you can feel when they're over as well, and go, okay, right, like what's next? Like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
In a way that I could never do before, because first you block them out and you act silly and you make bad choices, and then the next day you are paranoid and anxious and still make bad choices. And the spiral for me was just really bad and just really counterproductive. And yeah, I think the first one was being my granddad, and that was in peak COVID as well. So not peak COVID, but it was still, I couldn't travel, so I couldn't go back for the funeral. So it was a Zoom funeral at stupid o'clock in the morning. So I just sort of had a coffee late at night and then just sat up, and I was like, no, I was kind of wired, and I was like, you know, kind of tweaking that, you know, I wasn't going to drink. So I was like, oh well, I'll just play Uncharted on PS4 and just drink a coffee and stay up, I guess, and maybe that will make me not think about it. But then, you know, I've got Uncharted on one screen, and then I've got the funeral parlor like waiting screen on another one, waiting for this live stream to start, just being like, oh, this is pretty weird, eh? Like, for a number of reasons, it was very, very weird.
Yeah.
And that was the first one where I was just like, this is very uncomfortable. I need to push through this without having a beer.
Yeah.
Without, you know, breaking myself with alcohol, you know what I mean? Without just like, without making it go away artificially. I just sat in it and was uncomfortable and got used to that feeling a little bit, and then reflected on that days after, being like, that was intense. That was very intense. And that was the first, like I say, that was the first big road bump for me, was that one.
Yeah. And you got through it.
Yeah, I got through it, and I think that probably set me up, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a whole learning thing. And now here we are, like 4.5 years in, going, I wonder if there's a new cohort.
Yeah.
There has to be. Like, who are they? Who are the new cohort?
There's a few that have just popped up recently that are kind of, you know, they're just kind of hitting the 6-month mark at the moment, and
really,
you know,
well, you're more clued into it than I am, I suppose, with what you're doing.
I'm on it a lot, you know, just with the work that I do and stuff. But there's definitely a few that have come in over from the UK, that are just making themselves known, shall we say?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we did, eh?
Yeah.
That's how it worked.
Yeah.
You can't recover out loud without making yourself heard and making yourself known.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's maybe I'll have to hunt them out, because it'd be interesting to see, because I don't know.
I'll send you a couple of them. There's some of them are pretty funny.
Yeah. No, please do. I remember looking at people who were 3 or 4 years when I was months in, and thinking quite detached from them. Like, I felt very detached from them. I was looking at them, and I don't know what this says about me, but I was looking at them and being like, well, you've done it now. You've completed sober. Like, you're not doing the hard work anymore, almost. You know what I mean? What a dickhead.
You've beaten the final boss.
Yeah, you've beat the boss. But I think I was so naive, you know, back then as well. And I think now that I'm much deeper into it, I know that it's still really the same thing, isn't it? You know, there's less fear now, like I said, for me, but it's still the same. You're still doing the same work. I think.
Well, it's still a conscious decision every day, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the thing that doesn't change. It's still a conscious decision every single day. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's very profound. I like that.
Yeah.
It's still one day at a time.
It is.
1,600 days in. Where am I? I'm gonna get a day check.
I just
need that
I
right
just
now.
hit 1,612 for me today.
You hit 1,612. Where am I? See,
Yeah.
this is something that never changed. No, I don't want to review.
You must be nearly 1,700.
1,675.
There we go. Yeah.
You never change. Yeah, your day tracker still stays around. I don't know how people do it without the day tracker.
No.
I know people who have been that, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's insane. That's an insane thing to do. You're not well if you're doing this without a day counter.
Keep tracking those days, eh? But well, what would you say to the person who thinks life without alcohol will be boring? That big old statement.
I mean, it's only as boring as you make it. Really. I mean, there are, as much as it makes me sound like an absolute dad, there are more exciting things to be had. There's more adventures to be had than just getting off your chops and, I don't know, talking shit to somebody.
Yeah.
It's actually not that fun. When you look back on it, you go, oh no, actually it's like, what do you think not boring is? That's what I would say. Tell me what not boring is right now. What does that mean for you right now? Is just going and chatting shit to somebody and getting in scrapes, is that not boring? Or you don't know what boring is. you know, that's kind of how I would push back on that. I think for me, looking
back, sort of lying on the couch on a Sunday, ignoring the kids and feeling like shit every single Sunday, I think that was pretty boring,
Pretty boring.
Yeah.
Like just not turning up as yourself ever. How about that? You know what I mean? Just like never, ever presenting the actual real version of yourself to anyone at any time. That's pretty boring.
Yeah.
It's pretty cringe, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty boring. What are we doing? I don't know. No, boring is as boring does. Like, that's it's
statement.
It's such a weak excuse.
Yeah,
and it is an excuse. It's just an excuse.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to be had without it. I'm certainly a lot happier. Life has got no more boring. For me. Like because I remember a lot more of it. You know? That's quite nice.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, last question. 4.5 years later for you, if someone offered you the old life back exactly as it was, with alcohol included, would you take it?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I was on an absolute decline. I was hurting people around me.
Yeah.
I was hurting myself. I was being a selfish dickhead. And I was being a shit dad and a shit husband. And just a shit version of myself that I didn't like. Nobody liked that guy.
Yeah.
You know? I did have my moments. Sure. Those were flukes. But for the most part, I make a good friend of mine. So we spoke about it in the first few months. And he said, I didn't realize you were that bad. I didn't see you drinking that often. And I said to him, like, well, that's kind of the thing, though. Like, because you don't see a lot of it. It's every other night that you don't see me. It doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing or what I've done or what's coming the next day. I'm going to bed hammered.
Yeah.
Because that is a rut that I've got myself into. It's a chemical addiction that I've succumbed to that doesn't happen in plain sight. You know, it happens in the shadows. You know, we're very sneaky. And we're real good at just hiding it away.
Yeah, it's true. It's very isolating, isn't it? And
really
a lot
isolating.
of people that I work with, they they don't have anybody to talk to about it because they're like, well, none of my friends know because I'll meet, we'll meet and go for dinner and I'll have 1 or 2 glasses of wine and then I'll leave and then I'll go home and smash a bottle of wine.
Exactly.
And so nobody sees that. Nobody sees that whole bottle of wine that you're drinking by yourself. Nobody
knows I've talked about this in conversations before. Nobody can hear the piss maths that you're doing. Nobody can hear you going, all right, so if I have X glasses of wine, then before I go out today, I need to make sure that this is in the, because I'm going to get home after the shops close. I need to make sure that there's this much volume of alcohol in my house for when I get home after tonight, because I'm going to need at least 3 more of these. Because how am I going to go to bed with half a buzz on? Like, how's that possible? That is not conceivable in our heads in those moments. It's just like, no, I've got to make sure that I'm set. Otherwise there's going to be, well, what am I going to do? It's inconceivable.
Yeah.
Never mind, like, is life going to be boring? Am I going to have enough piss to go to bed?
Yeah.
Seemed like a much bigger problem, back in the thick of it. Honestly.
Yeah.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's gnarly looking back at it. It's really intense looking back and going, that substance had such a hold on me. I was such a, I just didn't, didn't even consider not going to bed really drunk. It just wasn't an option.
Yeah. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Crazy. Hindsight. Amazing thing. Well, Mike, it's been lovely talking to you and catching up again. We will have to bring the cohort of 2022 back. We might have to send out a few DMs after this. And a few shout outs. But yeah, I'm so proud of you for getting to 4.5 years sober. I can't wait for your 5-year post on the 1st of January.
I know, eh?
Yeah, crazy. Half a decade.
And same for you as well. It's like, we're basically the same time now. It's like when you count babies in weeks and months. We're kind of past that now. We're into years now. We're both 4.5 years. It doesn't really matter the minutiae anymore. But yeah, no, it's been a time, eh? It's been a journey.
Yeah, no, it definitely has. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hope the listeners have enjoyed our little natter, a little chat. Where can people find you if you want people to find you, Mike?
Well, I'm still on the gram, still Mike_is_sober. And that's about it, really. That's about where I exist. Is that my handle? Yeah, it is, eh? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There it is. Mike_is_sober. You can catch me on Threads doing nothing. But I'll be on Instagram.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening in. And thank you so much, Mike. I will catch up with you for a live soon, maybe.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. All right. Take care. Bye.